Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am super excited to have this gentleman here as our Realtor of the Week. Mike, I greatly appreciate you coming down here. As many of you guys know, you know this cat, right? He is the president of Realty Group. He is basically a real estate coach, inspirational speaker across the country. And there are going to be so many nice nuggets out of this thing that I'm super excited to pick your brain, my friend.
Well, I'm glad you had me here.
Yeah.
In fact, I never knew where your office was, and I had to get to take the tour and figure out where I'm going. And now that I'm here, I'm happy to be here. So glad you had me.
In a typical fashion of anybody that's rocking and rolling, as I'm watching him come in, it's answering phones, returning texts, getting some emails in, and
sneaking it in,
jamming it in. So I appreciate you spending some time with us.
Not a problem. I love doing these things.
So tell us a little bit about you. I know you went on a rock star motorcycle trip recently.
I did. Usually I do Sturgis every year. So we decided to take Sturgis off. We've been going out there for years, and this year we decided we were going to do on the bike up to the Canadian border, past Grand Portage, shoot across the state on Highway 1. We have a lake home near Deer River, so we stopped up there and then back down. All around, I think it was like an 900 mile, 2 or 3 day adventure. But you get near that Lake Superior, and that'll test your resolve because like an ice cube. It's freezing up there, so you leave in tank tops and you're layering up. You know, it's brutal.
Well, and that's what the super cool. The super cool thing about that is you're right. It was smoking hot down here. And then as you start going up to Duluth and so what did you say, 3 days?
Yeah, it was 3 days total. People think I'm nuts sometimes for the amount of miles I put on a bike, but you don't have phones ringing. You got music going. You can totally go into your own zone.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful experience.
Thinking time, man.
It really is. It's reflection time.
So how did you, I'm going to step way back, how did you get into the real estate world?
So fell into it by accident. It was 1998. I was 21 years old, and I hated working. So I grew up with a father that worked a job he hated his whole life, but he did it every day.
Yep.
And I don't know how that man did it, because I would last 6 months or 8 months at a job, and I was looking for the back door. Never could get promotions, hated working, thought I was going to be a loser my whole life. In fact, every deer hunting season, I asked for the week off. They said no, I'd quit and get a new job later.
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe I have to get an upgrade on the jobs I'm doing. Maybe I need a different line of work. So I started looking at professional jobs, and I opened up the newspaper, and there's Edina Realty hiring, and I didn't know what they're hiring for. I was 21. I lived at home, never sold a thing in my life. I'd walk down there and meet the general manager, and he says, we're hiring for a real estate agent. I said, well, I didn't know anything about houses. And he goes, well, let me show you the commissions you can make here. And he showed me a 2-point-something million home, and he did the math on that, what the commissions were. I said, on one transaction? I said, how do I do this? He goes, he signed me up for school. I was in ProSource with Dow Kaplan. Then 2 days later, never looked back. I got in the industry at 21, and ironically, I couldn't deer hunt for 15 years. I was so busy, so screwed that up. But once I was in and sold my first house 2 months later, it was just hook, line, and sinker. There's something about the industry.
So you were with Edina for how long?
3 years.
Okay.
Yep. Then I went over to Counselor, and I bounced around a little after that throughout the market crash, and found my home.
Yeah. How did you and Long end up connecting?
Well, when Long, so ironically, he fell into real estate too, because he was doing mortgage for many years, and then title, and then doing REO for asset managers. He ended up falling into getting a real estate license and getting the real estate listings. Well, he was getting 900 phone calls a month on those REO listings. And he called me through a mutual friend. I was running an online lead team. And he says, I want you to take a look at my system. I get 900 phone calls a month. I said, there's no way you get, I thought he was embellishing. Then he showed me a CRM. I'm like, there's 900 phone calls a month, and what are you doing about these? He goes, well, I'm talking to you. So immediately I transferred over. We built a small team, and then, like anything else in life, that lasted for about a year and a half, and then the REO started going away. Then we had to shift into something new.
Do you think they'll come back?
Not like they were. No way.
Right. Not with the forbearances.
Correct.
The question is that going to be lifting or what?
I think the opportunity is going to be in the redemptions, because before they go into any type of institutional resale and bulk sales going institutional, they still got to go through Minnesota through that redemption process in most cases. And if you're looking, you'll still find redemption possibilities in there if you're savvy enough to look for them.
It's an interesting arena because so many people wanted to dive in there.
Yep.
But then as soon as they didn't have their tools set up, right?
Right.
So you call them and you say, I got another task for you. Oh, God,
Yep.
it's just out at the house, you
Correct.
know? So
Correct.
like your systems, you had to have that in place, and I know you and Long did.
Yep, we did, and I think he went from 0 to 350 properties in his inventory in 6 months when he started. You know,
That is insane.
yeah. So he's known as an REO guy, and he was getting horrible PR because he wasn't getting back to people, and the phone calls were flooding him, and he couldn't return calls. We finally dug out of that, and we went into the traditional brokerage and started hiring people, and started leveraging, and now his response times are great. I mean, we're killer at that. But it's interesting. His background, he just fell into it. I just fell into it. He had a need, I had a need, and it came together.
Well, and what's super, super cool is to see how you're a yin and yang. You know what I mean? I mean, you feed off one another, and that kind of leads into the next question. You guys are growing at such a fast pace. 700 agents now?
Yeah, we're always bouncing between 600 and 700, depending on when a license renewal period comes and people let their license go, and then we hire back up. So we're always bouncing between that 600 and 700. But we are growing, and we're getting more selective, I'd say, on who we bring on. We have a lot of really good agents. We're more interested in quality than quantity.
Well, and that's the key, right? Even though you can get into the commission structure if you want, but the key is transactions, right?
It is.
It's you want productivity, because the people that are doing one or two every 2 or 3 months almost seem to be the most labor intensive, don't they?
They put a drain. They will, and nothing against people that do part-time business. They're not all this way, but they tend to. There's a trend where they tend to really drain on your risk management resources. They're calling, they're fumbling through deals, and this is where it's not about the labor intensity for me. It's about the credibility. I want to make sure to the consumer we have a mission statement. We live by it: revolutionizing the client experience. We want to make sure that the people we're working with get a positive experience. So we're more selective with who we work with because of that.
So, Minnesota, Florida, Wisconsin,
and now we're just creeping into North Dakota with a team that wants to do something there.
What do you think in North Dakota? I mean, is that obviously you're going to be expanding there? Is it a big market?
I don't think it's going to be a huge market. You got Fargo and a few other areas. It'll be smaller. And it's just need. We go where the need is. We get a team that wants to do something. We're starting to enter into a couple. I can't disclose who, but a couple merger and acquisitions coming up. So we're starting to just go where the need is. And go that route.
Well, and we were talking prior about Florida. Florida is a thick regulatory state, isn't it?
It's a lot of red tape.
A
lot of red tape. So things move slow in Florida. It's a little bit of the wild, wild west when it comes to compliance, but I mean the wheels turn slow getting things done there.
There's so many agents. I mean, it's
hundreds of thousands of them.
Let me ask you a question, because I read an amazing article. Do you think there's too many agents for this market?
I do, and I think that nature tends to balance things out. So if you look at it, and I'm not going to say I have a crystal ball,
right?
But if you look last year in Minnesota, the number of transactions, not sides, but transactions we had, was the only year that we have recorded that was less than that was 2007, less than that. So 2008 actually produced more real estate in Minnesota than we did last year. And we're trending 20-30% below that right now.
Right.
So we could be sitting at 60,000 units sold in Minnesota. At our peak in 2021, we were at 96,000. So, and we haven't lost a whole lot of agent count, net agent count. It's the same people. There's more people fighting for less opportunity.
Well, and I think it speaks volumes, and I'll let you touch on this as well. I know that part of the Realty group, everyone says, well, they get all the commission and the owners don't care. You guys, your hearts and your care, right?
We do. We're very active owners, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're active operators. One of the things we did is we took some of our experience working in different brokerages and different offices throughout the years as we formed this thing. And for a while when I was in California selling after the crash, I worked with a very small brokerage. The owner of the company was accessible, sitting there pounding out phone calls with us all day long. And I wanted to keep that feel. No matter how large we get, we want to make sure we're accessible, that our hands in it, that we're still doing work in the industry.
Right.
Last year, I personally did 170 transactions with my partner and with Open Door. So we had an Open Door contract, and it was a 4-person team, me, my co-listing agent, who happens to be my fiance, and then 2 admin. We knocked out 170 deals. I like to stay connected. Yes, it's nuts, but we like to stay connected to the industry. We want to know what the agents are facing. We want to be involved in it so we can give good guidance.
Well, and I think that's the similarities. What I love about Edge and about Realty Group. You know Tom all as well. This cat produces a ton, and part of that is to keep a pulse on the deal.
Yep.
How do you? I mean, you got 800, 800 people. How do you cast out policies, and do you have a Facebook group?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, so if and the thing is about agents, by and large, they just don't pay attention. No matter how many times you reach them, by what medium, they don't pay attention. And especially there's times around the CE time, we'll put out 300 different messages about their CEs. Inevitably, 20, 30 people screw something up, they lose their license, and they try to blame us like it's our fault. So agents don't pay attention, especially to brokerages. So for us, we've got a few different methods, and if something's that important, we do a full court press. We will get their attention. But yeah, we've got Facebook channels we use, email, CRM messaging like you would with a lead. I mean, we've got email and text templates that go out, but by and large, agents still tune out everything they can.
Another similarity with industries, right? I mean, I'm telling you what, it's thick-headed.
It's all stuff they need, but they tune it out, So
yeah. Well, and it's so if you had, give me a couple different nuggets. How do you handle somebody in this market, right? There's problems. There's low appraisals. You're losing offers. You're not winning, listings. How do you keep somebody motivated? You're a coach nationally. How do you keep people motivated, man?
The thing is it's not going to come down to one single thing people are doing, but it's a set of systems, I believe. For example, I watch a lot of people struggling. If you look at the average age of a first-time home buyer right now, it went from mid-20s to mid-30s overnight. Affordability is a problem all over the place. So you got to be a little selective, I think, as you're building your pipeline. So one thing you want to do, you want to upstream the problem. If you're kind of just waiting for your pipeline to grow itself and you're subject to whoever ends up in it, sometimes you're working with people that unintentionally just aren't easy to service.
Right.
So, growing a pipeline intentionally, being able to intentionally grow the type of people that you want, that's kind of where it starts. You want to start working with people that have a better shot. Nothing against the people that don't. Maybe them, there's some extra work that they need, and there's some extra programs and systems and incubation time. Maybe they don't get their dream home on the first one. Maybe they go into a townhome or condo first. Maybe there's some more time they need to spend some more money and or save some more money and become more competitive.
Credit, whatever.
But I think one of the things you do is you really work on your systems. You intentionally get the network. I talked with one of my agents, Shadow, this morning on a thing just similar to this. And we talked about his network and network. We kept talking about that.
Right.
Well, the guy's selling $3-4 million homes left and right. Well, that's market insulation compared to what we're dealing with in the 300-400 realm. The affordability is not a problem there, right?
Correct.
So that's intentional. He's purposely knocking that kind of stuff out. Not that every agent can do that, but we can get into more affluent buyers, more affluent sellers, people that have more capability.
Is it low-hanging fruit? Is it family, friends?
Sometimes it is.
Everybody.
Sometimes it is, or it's just you're not really selective of who you work with, or you don't know how to create a pipeline intentionally. So you're just kind of throwing nets out everywhere and taking what you get.
Right.
So, but if you're running around for 8 months spinning your wheels with buyer A, you're not really thinking about how do I produce 4 more buyers that would be better. So this is a thing, like one of the systems I always want to talk about is working on your business versus working in your business. When you're working on your business, you're creating those opportunities. What we do in real estate, we get a buyer or a seller, we focus so much on them that we forget we've got to start building the pipeline for later. They get finally wrapped up, and now we're unemployed, and we start all over again, and we got to find a new buyer and seller. So building that consistent income, consistent pipeline, especially in markets like this, I think is key.
Is it time blocking? I mean, because like you said, we kind of all get ADD. Like, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that.
I think the idea. I hear agents talk all the time why they love real estate. Every day is so different. I go, well, that's why you're having trouble right now, because every day should be the same.
Right.
I mean, it literally should be predictable and boring. You should be, working on your lead generation and your conversations and your relationships. You should have those time blocked as much as you can. And I realize there's a breakthrough showing. A thing comes on the market, And you want to get out there by 9 in the morning because you think it's going to sell by 6. And I get that you might have to have some morning opportunities, but make sure that you structure your day in a way that you got morning opportunity for showings, afternoon or evening opportunity. In the middle, maybe you're working on all those relationships and you're predictably and intentionally getting disciplined to get in there and create new opportunity. If every day is spent differently all over the place, you're not doing anything consistent. Consistency is the key to the business, I think.
You've got a wide variety. You've got some amazing producers.
Yep.
You've got some people that are tapping into the industry.
Yep.
Do you refer them to educational material?
We build a whole library. We got a ton of educational material, and we've got most of it's in-source that we've created ourselves. Some is outsourced. We work with professional coaching companies. We've got a lot of different content, but there's no two agents that are alike. You're never going to find one playbook and say, I'm going to do exactly this. There's always going to be a little tweaks and adjustments, So I think people pick through the education material, figure what's going to work for them, and they implement. But like I said, I think the key is consistency. You can't be on building your business part-time and think you're going to get full-time results,
And I think isn't that a flaw with our businesses? My mortgage business, same way.
Yep.
You start seeing some checks and you're going, sweet.
Yep.
I'm going to go to happy hour. I'm going to take the day off and golf.
Or even that you've got 3-4 people, hot people you have to focus on, and that takes all your mental energy. You're not really, again, time blocking. Then I hear people say this all the time. They're like, I have to pick that phone up if that client calls. I've got to be there. I said, well, do you ever go to a listing appointment? Yeah. Ever go more than an hour in a listing appointment? Yeah. What happens if your phone rings? Well, I don't answer it. So you're not going to answer it at the listing appointment, but if you're doing that time that you're calling, following up, checking in, all the things you're supposed to do, you feel like you can't structure that time because you have to be reactive for your client.
Right.
So it's a mental thing. It's really a mental thing. One thing I look at too, because about 60% of every transaction in America happens from a relationship, repeat or referral business, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is about half the people that you work with forget who you are. They forget your name within 1 year of meeting them. Because again, we're just focused on the next deal.
Yep.
Right? So, and the other stat is, 80% of people will claim they'll use that same agent twice, 12% do. Well, why? Why do they forget you? Why won't they use you twice? It's not their fault. I hear agents talk all the time, how focused are they on relationships? Well, to what point? Till the deal's done, then it's gone.
Right.
So, you want to know how you really intentionally build something, you keep on tapping into your network. Who's already used you? Where's your proof of concept? They've worked with you. Leverage them. I mean, Jada was talking this morning. I think he got 11 referrals from one person.
Ugh.
11.
Yeah.
So it's like that. That's what we got to do. We've got to find the people that are our best advocates, our best resources. Lead on them, leverage them. Work with them.
Know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Again, proof of concept. They've already worked with you.
Yeah.
So that's something that's valuable.
How do you or do you not worry about it? I know one of the things that Tom does is he always makes sure that the door is open for him,
mm-hmm.
but he's not going to micromanage you. Right? I mean, everyone's adults here,
mm-hmm.
right? You don't need to be babysat, but guidance
mm-hmm.
is these guys, what I've learned about them, him and Long, is that they go all over the country, not only to speak, but to learn and to go to conferences, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we do. I mean, for us, it's an investment. We go, and we've got some of the biggest, teams that are doing thousands of deals in our Rolodex, and team leaders and coaches, and our mastermind groups are that level. So, I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to be the dumbest guy in the room. So because when I bring home, I want high level content and stuff.
Right.
I say, here, you'd be amazed what this team is doing and how they're doing it, what tools they're using, how they're using it. And, like I said, no two agents will do it the same, but it's the consistency and just picking a platform, picking something to be consistent in and fine-tuning their skill set. I've seen a lot of people too, they'll get opportunity, but they just don't have the words to really close it. That's not their focus. They just haven't really focused on what do I say in this situation? How do I refine what I'm saying? How do I refine how I'm talking to this person? How do I refine how I'm doing a listing presentation? I'm not converting, right? So they're getting opportunity, but the next step is, well, how do I capture more of it?
Right.
Where's my skill sets? So once you learn to create the opportunity, now we got to learn to really convert and close it, right? So I see that people kind of are usually good at one or the other, very rarely both.
Right.
Yeah, and when I say good, I'm talking somebody doing a deal a month. I'm talking about doing 3, 4, 5 deals a month, really killing it.
Yeah.
It's hard to see people at that level that are good at both creating and converting. It's very few.
Well, it's a hard balance, right? Because you got your plate full with current deals,
Yep.
but yet you still have to be
have
looking
to be.
ahead. So tell me a little bit. We've got a mutual friend that I quote all the time in this group, Tristan.
Yeah.
Fill me in some insight about this guy. He is an amazing social media person, but he does some production.
Yeah, so Tristan Ahamada, who was the founder, him and Nick Baldwin of Lab Coat Agents. I think truly Tristan's really the face of it. Lab Coat Agents, which is now 150,000 members or so, just for their main. Of course, they got different spin-offs from Lab Coats, and now they're doing coaching themselves. Tristan, who's been just I think his claim to fame, the man doesn't have an ego. He leads with kindness. That's sort of his thing. It's never about him, but he's a constant student. 100% of the time, he is a constant student. And I think that's something that all agents should do. There's so much ego and arrogance in the business. If you lay that down and become constantly curious, you'd be amazed at what you can pick up.
Yeah.
If you lay down the ego where I don't want to listen to you because I already know. Some of the things I've learned in my career have come from people doing less production than me. I go, wait a second, what was that idea again? Tell me that again. Say that slower. If you're open to learn, if you're constantly a student, it's amazing what you can pick up.
One of the things that I just love about this guy is he's busy, man. Like you said, texts and emails and calls, and he's was just up in Duluth yesterday. But he said, you know what, I'm going to get down here because I want to be part of this. And the knowledge that you guys are gaining right here is priceless. I mean, he coaches people. How do people get a hold of you, Mike?
Pretty easy. Don't email me because I suck at. I get 300 emails a day coming through. I get like 10% of them. It's terrible. But text me anytime, 651-587-2396. Or look me up online, just Mike Bernier on social media. Send me a message. I'm pretty accessible.
Well, and Jake will get that information put in there. Like I said, I truly appreciate you. Our friendship with both you and Long is amazing, and I respect you guys a ton.
Thank you.
To have you come as a quote-unquote Realtor of the Week, now I hear your production, so I'm like, okay, that's not a demeaning deal, but you're the man, and I appreciate you coming down.
I took this year off from production. I'm not doing what I did last year with that open door thing. I'm gonna, I rush. I do some. I take a break, I do some more, but I'll tell you, for me, being in production, it's really hard to guide a group of agents when you don't know exactly what they're going through.
Right.
It's every market's different, it shifts, it changes, that's how it goes. So for somebody that's gonna be in a leadership position, I think it's important to at least do a handful of deals here and there.
Well, to all those in the Realty group, we are super, and even the group as a whole, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining us. There's a couple different ways to follow us. We're going to be posting this obviously today on the Facebook Minnesota Realtors group. We've got a Instagram page, which is obviously Realtor Space of the Week, and then obviously on YouTube, Realtor of the Week, all smashed together. So we appreciate you coming. I'm excited to say we've got Aaron Duckworth next week, and my friend, you're the best, buddy. I appreciate you, and I applaud you for how fast you're growing, and yet staying balanced and no gray hair, man.
Not yet. A little white in the beard. A little white in the beard still. A little white in the beard that's coming in, but
I like
hair's
it,
still
man.
fine. Yeah.
Well, worst case is you just do like Jake does and shave it off,
No doubt.
But thank you, my friend.
You
I
bet.
appreciate
Thank you.
and I thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
All righty, buddy.